Hey YouTube, another episode of Dueling like a Swordsman. I want to make another advanced tips video on X-Sabers. Like a continuation about the last advanced tips video I gave a long time ago. But this time I wanted to do, discuss a little more on what has changed during the times, especially like stuff like the Dark Soul ruling that's new now. How X-Sabers are playing right now in terms of field presence. Some tips of like what I do to maintain field presence. I'm going to share with you guys all that in this video. And I really wanted to start off by how much like has the Dark Soul ruling affected us. Well, I'm going to be very honest. It's affected us a lot. We really honestly, it was honestly much. It was a much tougher hit than anything the ban list could have done to us. The Rada to Dark Soul was really just a seal on the deal to really tame Sabers to the power that that a lot of people wanted them to be there. Usually before the Dark Soul Rada, we used to have like so much busted plays, and most of that came like from a single Dark Soul, and now we just don't have that anymore. It's like we only have one search per copy, and that really hurt us. Because now if we want to do like multiple searches per turn, we need multiple Dark Souls in the graveyard. Well, basically, like, how is Dark Soul being played now? Well, Dark Soul right now is, the way I play it, I simply, if it's an early game, like really early game, and then they destroy my Dark Soul, I will search another Dark Soul. Why do I do this? Because I like setting up my graveyard for Gotham Sequel, since I run 3. And, setting up my graveyard with Gotham Sequel with multiple Dark Souls allows me to go into putting them multiple copies on the field, and if they have torrential, they have to blow everything up, and I'm gonna be like massively plussing off that. So yeah, basically, like I like start the game. If I start the game with Dark Soul and they pop it, and I have no other Sabers in hand, I'm gonna get another Dark Soul, or in some rare cases, I might get an Ember's Blade. Ember's Blade is another card that has really changed over the years. Usually I ran 1 to 2 Ember's Blades. 3 Ember's Blade was like, I never found 3 Ember's Blade like really necessary to format. Then now then came a time where I thought that Ember's Blade was just not necessary at all, and I ran 0 Ember's Blade. And now today I'm running 3 Ember's Blade because really Sabers need a consistent way to get 2 Sabers on the field and to maintain field presence, and Ember's Blade is the key. I've realized that with time that Ember's Blade is just the key to putting those 2 Sabers on the field aside from Gotham Sequel. It makes Gotham Sequel active. It really brings you the Saber you need at the moment you need, and it really set up some amazing plays. A lot of stuff that I do with Ember's Blade, I see a lot of people go, they destroy an Ember's Blade and they put a Dark Soul and they let it get destroyed so they can search. That's not bad, but I actually do something even better. When an Ember's Blade of mine is destroyed and there's another monster attacking my my field, I summon a second Ember's Blade and I let my opponent decide what he wants to do. He will either thin out my deck even more, or he will think that, alright, well, he didn't get the Dark Soul, so let me attack and make my monster attack useful. But that's when then, if he attacks with the last monster to my last Ember's Blade, I then summon my Dark Soul. Why do I do this? Because next turn, if I have a tuner in hand, I can go like something like Airbellum and Dark Soul. I already have there, like, if he torrentials that, it's going to be a 1-for-1 because I'm going to plus off in the end. and I didn't lose any monsters. I can also go like another thing I do with Emer's Blade is if I have Dark Souls in hand, I get a tuner. Like for example, Arabellum, and that's actually an amazing time to get Arabellum, because you know if you get Arabellum through Emer's Blade's effect, they can't bottomless because it's in the damage step. So basically, then next turn you go Dark Soul, then they will either have to Torrential or something, and then you can go into a False Roll and blow up from there. That brings me to the next card, False Roll. So how has False Roll changed during the years? Well, you know, years ago you could False Roll was really flexible, like in the way that you could run 2 copies, 3 copies. Some people even went like all the way and ran only 1 copy. Like that guy in Mexico that won with 1 copy. But that was due to the priority thing. Like you could go dark, you could go False Roll, call a priority, and they could bottomless it, but you could still get like a plus off it with a Dark Soul or something like that. Now with a priority change, False Roll is really weak, and you know I have a little rule of thumb that goes. I run 3 False Rolls. The first 2, I run them so they can get Veilered and bottomless. The last one is the one that actually gets off. And that rule of thumb, you know, I'm gonna be actually very honest with you. It's not that far from accurate. You know, usually when I have 3 False Rolls in hand, I summon the first one, it gets Warning. I summon the second one, it gets Veilered. I summon the third one, and I finally can get something off. But then, you know, those 2 used False Rolls, I can then use them for a Photon Strike Bouncer, or, you know, I could just use them for Gotham's, you know, X-Saber Gotham's father. But yeah, you know, my rule of thumb is run 3 False Rolls. Because honestly, he's just too weak. I also run Pot of Avarice to recover those lost False Rolls in a way. Really great card, by the way. And, you know, it's just, I'm also really aggressive, so I need to, you know, I need to play 3 of these guys. But honestly, my personal recommendation, you know, whether you're running Control Sabers, whether you're running Aggressive Sabers, run 3. He's not as powerful as before. He's really weak right now. A lot of cards can get him. You know, the priority rule really hurt. You know, really, you know, you combine the combination of the priority ruling plus the Dark Soul Errata, you know, it really hits up to blow a lot of sides. And this deck is, you know, this deck's power really went down significantly. And, you know, we have to try to find new ways to fight the meta right now. The other card I wanted to discuss is Bogart. A lot of new players to X-Sabers, they see this card as their god, and you know I don't blame them. I mean, Bogart is the easiest way to get two X-Sabers on the field, but you know a lot of pro players already anticipate this move, and you know when they know you're playing X-Sabers, they're gonna save their Veilers for 2 things: False Roll and X-Saber Bogart. Those 2 targets are the most powerful targets to use Veiler on when going against X-Sabers. How do I draw in those Veilers? Well, first of all, I use cards like Arabellum. You know, when an Arabellum is about to hit an open field, people get desperate. You know, they don't want their cards being discarded, so they're going to waste Veiler on Arabellum just to save their hand. That then allows me to go next turn into a Bogart or a False Roll, and without fear of Veiler. But other ways that I actually draw Veiler is with Bogart himself. I actually play Bogart very differently. Sometimes I really use him as a B-stick, and sometimes if you know I'm going to use him as a B-stick, I go Bogart, I declare effect. If he has a Veiler, he's going to use it because he doesn't want a False Roll push. And then I'm just gonna go, you know, B-stick with Bogart like I always intended to. You know, Bogart as a B-stick is an amazing card, and whenever I want to use Bogart actually, like the actual Bogart, then I sometimes even search him with Emmer's Blade. For example, if I have a Pashul in my hand, and you know my opponent's using a lot of back row, I can actually set up a Hyunlei play with Emmer's Blade by searching Bogart, summoning Pashul, and there I have my Hyunlei. Okay. If I summon, the moment I summon Pashul, he has to do torrential, like right there. Otherwise, his back row is a goner. Because once Hyunlei hits the field, the only thing that can stop it is a Veiler or a Solemn Warning. And, you know, if I take out 2,000 life points out of him, you know, Hyunlei did his job. You know, it's almost like a direct attack right there. I can always recover, like, Pashul and Bogart with God's Eagle. That reminds me, God's Eagle. I'm currently running 3 right now. I really think that God's Eagle is right now a very key card in our deck. It really allows us to do a lot of plays, especially when you set up the graveyard properly with multiple Dark Souls and tuners. God's Eagle is amazing right now. Amazing chainable, amazing field presence card. And remember, like I said, you know, we need to find consistent ways to get field presence on the field. It's the only way we're going to win, the field presence. And I run 3 God's Eagle because it makes it just that. It makes my field presence as consistent as possible. So, you know, obviously with proper field presence. Now, how do I play God's Eagle? Well, I play it more like a chainable card rather than a card that I depend on in my main phase. I usually, you know, most of the time, like 90% of the time, I activate God's Eagle in my opponent's turn, and then use whatever monsters I have left from God's Eagle to do my falter push the next turn. I rarely set on a God's Eagle and set a face down Saber, like something like a sit on a Dark Soul with a God's Eagle face down. I rarely do that, you know, unless I know that my opponent has no back row hate whatsoever, you know, because the worst thing that can happen is sitting on an X-Saber, they mystical your God's Eagle, and, you know, or they heavy it, and yeah, you lost an amazing field presence card right there. So what I really do is, you know, what I really do is when I already have an X-Saber face up on the field, like you know, like a Pashul walling me off, or an Emmer's Blade walling me off, I then set God's Eagle. And if they heavy it, then I can chain, and I have more monsters on the field. Another way I make God's Eagle really active is ramming with Emmer's Blade. I sometimes ram into Emmer's Blade a lot, you know, put multiple Emmer's Blades in the graveyard, then I can God's Eagle, and they're going to be forced to kill those Emmer's Blades so I can search even more Sabers from my deck. Really wanted to talk about Urbellum and Sofa. Alright, so a lot of people are debating on which one's better. Really, I'm gonna be very honest with you, it all depends on your playstyle. If you're sorry about that. My battery's low, let me. Sorry about that. Alright, sorry about that. Yeah, the screen got dark. Anyways, like I was saying, you know, which one of these two is better? Well, you know, basically depends on your playstyle. I personally choose Sosa over Urbellum because of the 2500 attack. You know, 2500 attack is really boss right now. He has a boss effect, that's, by the way, you know, being able to turn into a Catastor is really good. But, you know, sometimes, you know, if you want to play like control sabers, Urbellum is much better, because if you manage to you know, Urbellum is really good at controlling your opponent's hand and controlling your opponent's draws. And there's nothing better than going to Rebellum, locking him into a draw, and then going into, oh, there's the power spec. Locking him into a draw, and then, you know, emptying his hand with Gothams in main phase 2 by attributing everything. So yeah, if you're more into a control variant build, then I suggest you use a Rebellum. If you're more aggressive like me, then use Sosa by all means. You know, they're both good, both level 7. They both make Bogart worth it. So, you know, use whatever you want. The other thing, like, what are the things that I'm concentrating right now on? I mean, let's see what else I can discuss. I mean, the Gothams. I mean, how powerful is X-Saber Gothams right now? I would say it's much more powerful than before. I mean, I'm starting to use them more and more and more each time, especially with Airbellum. Because, you know, I'm now finding myself pitching more cards with Airbellum now, and then that makes it easier for my Gothams to drain the entire hand later on in May phase 2. But yeah, Gothams right now is really good. He's also like 3,100. Not many people pay attention to that, but X-Saber Gothams is basically one of our few outs to Grafa under Gates of Dark World right now. And basically, yeah, you know, X-Saber Gothams is one of the few monsters you can sit on against Dark World. You know, just, you know, beating him constantly, just, even if it has to be 100 versus 100 versus 100 versus 100, you know, X-Saber Gothams is really good right now. It's also a monster that can be special summoned with Gothams Eco. You know, since he's an X-Saber, you know, and he doesn't necessarily have any requirements to be special summoned aside from Synchro. So yeah, you know, you can basically, I see myself a lot of times, if I have a Gotham Seagull in my hand, I would even like use Gothams. I would tribute him, and then in the end phase, if I had sacrificed any Dark Souls, I would search an Ember's Blade or an Airbellum, and I would put it in my hand. Next turn, I will set the Ember's Blade or play the Airbellum and set the Gotham Seagull, and it's basically game, because next turn I can just, you know, Gotham Seagull, Gothams, blah 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 blah, and once again end the turn, end the game right there. But yeah, Gothams is really, really good right now, especially as a game ender. I don't know if I'm gonna be playing 2. I'm playing one for now. Like, I think 1's just enough. But you know, if you want to play 2, because if you have extra deck space, sure, go ahead, just play 2. I'm playing 1 right now because I got my extra deck all filled. But yeah, you can go away with playing 1. I think that covers everything for now. Everything I wanted to share. Oh wait, one last thing. Sorry. Full Knight versus X-Saber Airbellum. Yeah, really common debate. You know, when people look at my build on various like internet websites like Pojo and like in Dueling Network and all that stuff, they always question me. They always ask me the same question: why don't you play Full Knight? Well, it's not that I don't like this card, because honestly, back in the day, in the Plants format, this card was everything for me. And actually, this card was sucky. Now, things have changed. You know, first of all, Heavy Storm was put back legal. It's legal once again. MSD to 3. We're seeing a lot of people that play less spells and trap cards in the back row, and now on top of that, we're starting to see less defense position monsters being played. So basically, you know, it all comes to that. It's paving the path for Airbellum to be king instead of Full Knight. You know, Full Knight right now it's a really good card. There's no doubt this card is balls. You know, but it really depends on the format you're playing in. I mean, right now we're in a very fast format, and in a very fast format, if you can drain your opponent's resources faster than you, you basically win. In very fast formats, hand advantage is key, and whoever has the biggest hand advantage and field advantage is the winner. Airbellum is a great way to diminishing the resources your opponents has without even allowing your opponent to even play them. Full Knight is an amazing card in a slow format, because in slow format, you have a bunch of trap cards and spell cards to protect this card and use this effect as a last resort. It's also in a slow format. There's a lot of defense position monsters, because slow formats are usually home for floater decks and floater decks. They use a lot of defense position monsters, or they use like a monster that just stays there for a long time. Example, Thunder King or Doom Caliber. And Full Knight is much better than that, because Full Knight is also a floater. It's a monster that just stays there, can negate an attack, and buy you some time for next turn. But right now, this format is not floater friendly, especially with our insectors around. Insectors, they're just like blowing everything up into place. They're an anti-floater deck, and right now, Full Knight's actually pretty useless against them, because first of all, they don't set almost any monsters, and they see Full Knight as some kind of father, like they just eat him for Hornet. So basically, that leaves me with Airbellum, which is much better. Has an amazing effect of this card, draining resources from the opponent, and I can search him with Everslade as well. Has 1600, so it's a little bit more attack than Full Knight. Can take over some defense position monsters like a defense position Alias or something like that. Those weird random moments. But yeah, Airbellum is really good right now. I would love to play 3 copies. I'm right now only playing 2. I just don't have any more space. But if I had the space to run the 3rd copy of this, I would. And this is an amazing card overall. Also drains a lot of resources in the way of it plays with your opponent. It plays with your opponent's fear. They waste Vaders, they waste Bombless, Solemn Warning, Torrential on this card when you summon it on an open field. It's really devastating. I mean, it's like Spirit Reaper, but even better. More attack points. Plus it's X-Saber and Tuner. So that's basically the last topic I wanted to cover in this video. Once again, I have nothing against Full Knight. It's not the right format for her right now. It's not the right format. Right now, Airbellum is the best tuner for this format. If next format is slower, I'll be putting Full Knight back on the deck. Otherwise, I'll stay with Airbellum. Alright, well, that's it for now. See you guys in the next episode of Dueling Like a Swordsman. I hope this helped you guys a lot. And, happy deck building.